go, Peter. So, are you ready, Eve? Okay. I'm going to call the May Historic Preservation Commission to order, and we're happy to see some faces in our audience. And if you don't know why we're here, if you will read the statement at the bottom of the agenda, and that will tell you why we give our time for the city of Lynchburg. And I would also remind the commissioners to speak into the microphone and not click your heels. And I understand we did a good job at our last meeting. So the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're good to go. The first item of new business is a request of Brandon Grossville. May be murdering your name. Oh, and he's not here, right?
Right, but he did say his contractor would be.
Okay. So is the contractor here for 209 Madison Street? Okay.
So you can either move it to the end or discuss it without them in
Okay.
attendance.
So what is your pleasure? Move it or?
To the end and see if they do show.
Okay, all right. The next item is the request of Joshua Alatas to replace the fence, install gravel parking, and install a gravel walkway at 832 and 834 Rivermont Avenue. Is Mr. Alatas here? If you would come to that table and take a seat and explain to us the nature of your request, part of which is already done.
Yeah, so, sorry about that, first off. I just purchased the house last year, my first home, trying to figure it out. It's an old home, obviously. And they had, when I'd gotten it, they had just torn up the entire backyard. And so everything was different because they were replacing the sewage. So there was old driveways and walkways that they'd kind of ripped up, and they just left basically dirt and mud throughout that whole area in the backyard. And there was no pathway that they had put back or anything like that. And so we had been trying to get to the back of the house, and we're tracking in mud, stuff is washing all over the place, and we're trying to get something to stabilize. So the contractor that's here with me today, he put the gravel in to try to stabilize the movement of stuff, as well as to allow us to park in the back, which is really nice because we're on that end on Victoria, right across from that new development for the retirement community they have over there. And so we put that in, and then we got the notice, and I realized, oh, there's the Preservation Council, and I learned my lesson. So here we are today. The fences were also ripped out when they pulled that stuff out, and then they were just in disrepair, so we're trying to get those fixed as well. We want to put in just a traditional picket fence like how the neighbors have it in a lot of the historical homes. There's the diagram that outlines where we want the fence. And as you can see, I think there was that about the type of gravel we used. It's the same type that the neighbors had in their driveways as well, which is why we used it and we thought it would be okay, especially considering we're on that backside facing the new development, so it's not even necessarily visible from the street at all or even the historical parts of town. So that's what we were thinking, but obviously that's why we're here to talk about it today. And this is what we're hoping to do, put in that fence, stabilize that driveway. As you can see there, that's the picture of just the yard ripped to shreds and mud and water washing all over the place, down the hills, all that stuff. So something had to be done. That's how we have it right now. Wanted to have that conversation with you guys, see what you had to say, and yeah. So I've never done one of these, so it's a learning experience
Okay.
for me right here.
Okay, questions? Shall we talk about the fence first?
Yes.
Yeah. Was the fence there? And,
So there's pieces of the fence that are all there. Like, this is how it was when I purchased the property.
Uh-huh.
So I assume that was a fence. and we're just proposing to put back a fence in a actual structure. Like, you can tell that it was. I have no idea what it looked like then, but it looks like there definitely was a fence because there's posts for it.
If you leave that one up, I would say, it's, obviously, this kind of fence, I mean, it's bits and pieces of old fences that are
Yes.
clearly not historically
Yeah.
relevant to the neighborhood. They weren't there when the house was built, so replacing it with another 6-foot fence is what you're proposing, right?
Like what the neighbors have on the right side there.
And it's in the backyard, that's acceptable, I believe, so.
Yeah, I have no problem.
I'll make a motion to accept the fence as proposed.
Is there,
The only thing
Go
is
ahead.
I think it says you wanna have I guess the clean side facing out,
Okay.
finished side out, and then have your boards and battens.
Yeah,
Inside.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neighbor has it correctly, it's the finished side.
And that's what we were thinking as a temp. I think she was on the council previously as well. So I talked to her about this before coming in.
ah, okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Did I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've got your fence. Let's move on to the gravel.
Eve, what does the standard say in terms of backyards? I know front yards, gravel is not,
Yeah, pea gravel's okay in
yeah,
front,
pea
Yeah.
gravel, but
but not that kind of
not
gravel. in
gray
the front
gravel.
yard.
Well, it says driveways and parking lots that are new should be located at the rear or side of the building, should be of brick, brown pea gravel, concrete exposed aggregate, or concrete tracks. So that includes the backyard as well.
Concrete exposed aggregate, what's that?
Is it where you pour your concrete and then you brush or wash it off so that
It's the
the
aggregate
rocks,
in it,
the
sure,
rocks are showing?
got it.
So I think, sir, the issue is the gravel itself.
Okay.
Is not in the guidelines approval. You put a different kind of gravel is, the round, smooth river rock kind. I mean, it calls it pea gravel, but it's the round, smooth rocks as opposed to, what's there is sort of what's used under streets, under roadways before they're poured.
What about the neighbors have similar driveways?
That doesn't matter.
A lot of times older stuff is already in place before the district even went in place.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, you can go up and down Riverline Avenue and find gravel in front yards, but it's way old materials.
Would it be acceptable if that was in place until the construction was finished and then overlay it with the round pea gravel or the round stone? You don't have to, would one have to pull that up?
Wouldn't have to if it's covered.
So we could put a layer on top of that.
Yeah.
Is that crush and run that's down right
Yeah.
now?
57.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically,
yeah, it's already
what's
down.
called crush and run.
Yeah, it's
I'd be anxious about how thick it would be.
Right.
And whether the river rock would push down in and you just end up with the crush and run on
If
top.
it's crush and run where it like compacts tightly together, that would actually be better, because that pea gravel, in my experience, is very difficult to walk on, but actually having that bed underneath of it, but if it's just straight up gravel, then yeah, you could
Yeah.
have that issue.
So concrete over top, not asphalt.
Not asphalt.
Not asphalt. But it needs to be a different kind of gravel than that, or pure concrete.
Just a pea gravel on top would work.
Yeah, I think if you, as Commissioner says, if you compact what you have in place now, get it down good and solid and push down in and hard, and then put the pea gravel on top,
Okay.
would make some sense.
That,
Sometimes it's easier just to remove all that and just bed it with new, gravel.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
Yeah.
it's
And
easier.
I don't know
but-
how thick that is. It doesn't look like it's very thick. But it's, that's entirely up to you.
Okay.
Yes, it's easier, but you don't have to do it. If you find whatever's best, but overlay it with that pea gravel, or what you call it, it's the river rock stone. I know what you mean by having my own yard.
I mean, you see how
Yeah.
thick it is, though, that
Yeah.
it's coming on top of the sidewalk, so it would
Sure.
need to be pulled back so that
Yeah.
it would be lower than the sidewalk, so that pea gravel would sit in and not come out.
Right, and that's the edge of the road. There's no sidewalk on that backside.
Oh, okay.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion
Okay.
that we would, what, accept this with the pea gravel overlay, is that how we would say it? Um,
After work is finished.
After work is finished, because at this point, might as well keep using this back and forth. It looks, at least from these photos, which is April, you probably have some more work to do. I
Right.
wouldn't doubt it. And we all will say how grateful we are for you taking on this project, so. But yeah, after the work is finished, so you're running really heavy machinery over it, might not be the worst thing to put some edging there to hold it in place, for sure, too, but that's up to you, right? That's something we can't ask, so. But yeah, so it could be after the work is finished,
Okay.
so.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion further? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
And we'd note, I think Eve will send you information, but you have 12 months
Okay.
to take care of it, so you're in good shape.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, thank
And-
you.
And anything else, please ask first.
Yeah.
Please, you'll be glad you did.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah, please. So,
Thanks for coming.
thank you.
Okay, the next item is the request of Philip Warwick Senior to replace the metal roof at 1500 Grace Street. Is Mr. Warwick here?
No, he hasn't come to order this.
Okay, you're here to speak for him, all righty. So if you would tell us your name and then explain the request.
My name is Michelle Ware, and the request was to replace my father's roof.
Will you speak a little louder?
Replace my father's roof?
Uh-huh.
This is not on?
Okay.
Can you hear me
Thank
now?
you.
It records it back there, but it doesn't.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
To replace your father's roof?
Yes.
Okay.
I came down here and spoke with a Kevin, I think, Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was told, first we was gonna do asphalt. And he told me we have to come to a meeting to get it approved. But I said, well, how about if we did metal, go back to metal, is what he has on there now. And he told me it would be okay. I didn't have no idea I had to come down here and get this approved. So,
Okay.
I'm learning as well.
Okay. So part of it is gone.
Yes, yes, it's a real, he's 89 years old. And I put a roof on there for him, I'm trying to fix the house up for him, I built a bedroom downstairs for him, so, it's a lot. And he couldn't make it down here today anyway, because he's in a
That's
walker.
okay.
He has Parkinson, yeah.
That's okay. We're
So-
glad you're here for him,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So comments or questions?
So, go back one, is that what's on now?
That's the new roof.
Yeah, new.
And that's it? Ah, okay.
Yeah, they didn't finish.
And then, so the silver was the old roof.
So questions?
Is there only one side that's been completed so far?
The top side has, but the two lower roof hasn't been finished. And then the part that's opening in front of the house, all of that hasn't been finished as well.
You see the front of the house? So, here's the, can I get up again, it's easier for me to see. So, this has not been done.
No, that part has been done.
That part's been
Okay,
done.
go down, right, that
This is
part,
not.
right, that part isn't complete. And then there's a back part where a porchette is not completed as well.
So the only part that's completed is that front.
Front
The,
part.
the top, yes.
But it's two different colors, which has and hasn't been done?
It's green now.
The old.
What
one
you're
was
looking
That's
at-
an old
This
photo.
this is an aerial of before anything was done to the house.
Yeah.
If you go back to the front
entire
facade.
upper roof.
That has been
This doesn't show
completed.
any of the new.
Okay.
This is,
That's
that's the
old.
old, that's the before, that was what was there before. Now it's green here.
Yes, the whole top is
Just right
green.
here. Not
Yeah.
there and not on the back yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think she's saying
Sounds like the front and back of the upper,
the upper
Yes,
roof.
yes.
okay.
Okay. Wasn't clear, but it's clear now. Thank you.
And it's the green is the new.
Yeah.
Is there any issue with it being a different metal roof than the existing one?
I don't have an issue.
There is,
with
isn't
it.
it? Pardon me?
I have no issue with it, but that's me.
With the green that's on?
Mhm. The green that's replaced, yeah.
Would we normally accept that in an historic district?
But
Would we normally accept that in an historic district?
the green,
Not the green, the
oh,
type
the
of metal roof.
replacement,
Yeah.
The type of metal.
oh, the type of metal, I'm
Yeah.
not commenting on, I'm commenting on the
Oh,
color.
okay.
Okay. Doesn't make any sense.
Because we've had a long, an incredibly long conversation about roofs
Yeah.
in Diamond Hill, and I want to make sure that we're consistent about what we
Yeah.
accept and what we don't accept, regardless of which neighborhood it's in.
Yeah, okay. I'm only commenting on color,
Green's fine.
yeah, so.
So the previous
Uh.
roof, I'm not too familiar with that. Is that,
Standing seam, metal.
okay, it looks kind of like another layover.
It is, it is. Actually, my father put that up
Okay,
on there before he got sick. I think he was like in his 60s, and like I say, he's 89 now. The red roof is the original roof on the houses, which is probably over 200 years old.
okay. Do we have a photo of the, what would be the original? Or-
Only the aerial.
Okay,
It's basically the original was a standing seam, metal, standard 18 plus or minus inch width, which you'd find on historic houses all across the city. The new is a 5V 10 that's typically utilized on barns, farm buildings. So it's not a residential historic material, unfortunately. It's the,
That we just dealt
yeah,
with.
this is
actually,
typically,
so.
the standard language for this is 5V. The number of Vs that has a, it has exposed fasteners, it's just screwed down. It's more utilitarian structure, tin roof. Color is, color,
Yeah.
red, green, black, standard, silver for a historic district, but materiality is inconsistent with the guidelines. I think Eve would, if we went to the guidelines, I think the guidelines would say, we did just have this conversation
Yeah.
last month.
We did,
so appropriate would be standing seam for all the roofs on this
Yeah.
building.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Can you read that?
Says if replacement is necessary, the new roof should match the original as closely as possible in dimension, seam crimping, and seam spacing. So,
You said you spoke to Kevin Henry, and did you get any paperwork exchanged?
No,
He's just
because
zoning.
he.
He's just zoning, yeah.
Yeah.
But what was his previous job, the zoning? What job did he have when you spoke to him, do you know?
It's the same thing. He's,
Was he ever in this office?
I wasn't privy to that conversation,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't take that into account.
I mean, basically, he said you had to come to HPC, correct?
I don't know. I wasn't part of that conversation.
Okay. Mr. Henry said you needed to put an application into the Historic Preservation Commission?
That's if I did shingle,
Oh, okay.
That's
If
if I
you,
thought
so,
you did.
again, changing.
yeah, if I was gonna do shingles.
So do I hear a motion?
I mean, the unfortunate thing is it's the wrong material for a historic district. It needs to be what's called a standing seam. There's a number of, last month we went through the histronics of
Yes.
hand crimped versus off the shelf. And there are materials like this that come straight out of the factory, and it has a clip that goes down. If you go back to the original picture, Eve, that was there, you can see those lines going down the roof, or the metal comes across and it turns up, and there's a clip there that holds it down. That's what's called a standing seam, but you can get it straight out of the factory, straight from the manufacturer, or the installer can come and give you that. And it has a panel that's about 18 inches to 20 inches wide, and it has those standing up on each end. And that's what's typically used and approved in a historic district. And as we said, the green metal that's there is more what's used on a farm application, an agricultural, a barn or something, and it's just not a historic district residential material.
So the roofing that your father put on earlier was appropriate.
It would seem, it looks
Yeah.
like
It looks
it.
appropriate.
It's hard to see, but yes, I think what was the secondary one that he put on looks correct. That one that
Yeah.
that the shoes are on, because you can see it goes across flat, it comes up, there's what's called a standing seam, and that's what, that's a historic district, typical material.
Yeah.
So is there a motion?
So would the motion be to table to, I guess the motion is that the 5V10 is not appropriate for the application. It would need to be replaced with the standing seam metal. Color is fine.
Right.
You do have a
Right.
choice of colors. Green is acceptable. I think it was mentioned, black,
Yeah.
Yeah,
red.
red, black,
Yeah.
silver, remember, all
Yeah.
typical in historic districts. And we saw that one is gray, so gray would be
Yeah.
appropriate as well.
And then if you find my email on the website, Austin, England, I'd like to come out and look at it with you and talk to you about, because the lower roofs, do they need to be replaced? Is that also, or is there maybe repairs we can make? That way you don't have to do quite as much?
The ones on the porches.
Yeah, I'd be happy to come look at that and put eyeballs on it.
And if it's not in bad shape, there is material I shared last month. We had the same conversation about porch roofs.
The Acromax.
The Acromax, it's a roll-on, paint-on that will seal most holes in if it's the porch roof that's still in good condition.
Yeah, I think I'm fresh out of my cards, but yeah, I'd love to come see that.
So, Emmett, would you repeat your,
Yeah, I guess the motion is to disapprove this 5V10 and looking for a standing seam metal in terms of historic district application.
So,
okay,
Color can be approved by you, I would
so
assume.
you're approving a standing seam to match what exists? Is that the motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
is there a second?
Which means you have to remove the green roofing that's on there.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
But then,
Is there
none
a
of us are
second?
pleased about that, saying that, but yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Hmm?
Okay, thank you.
So you'll be meeting with her. If she has any questions, we can funnel them back to Eve or,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so our next item is request of St. John's Episcopal Church to do extensive work at 2477 Rivermont Avenue. Is there someone here from St. John?
I'm Mark
Okay.
Smith. I'm representing St. John's Episcopal Church. And we've been here before for this project, as some of you remember. This is continuing with the project as we go along, developing what used to be the BB&T bank building into the Youth House Community Center. Since I came to y'all back in 2024, I think it was April, the playground has been put in, which is down there on the lower, thank you. And they've started doing some renovations to the interior of the bank building. So now they're ready to continue on with the rest of the site development, which is going through TRC, or has been through TRC rather. And part of that leg is, of course, the HPC. So Cowell Crothers, landscape architect, has been hired to look at site walls, some patios. There's been some slight reconfiguration of parking at the rear of the building. And just as a reminder, the church proper is not in the historic district, which relates to two items. One is a dumpster enclosure, and the other is a small shed that's attached to the equipment enclosure. The equipment enclosure is an open roof screen wall around a chiller. And they've been setting their dumpster right there where the dumpster pad is right now, but we would be screening it. So part of the shed and part of the dumpster screen is actually in the historic district. It breaches the property line. So first thing, I guess, I'll just go down through the list. Installing the dumpster enclosure and tool shed. These drawings show that it's a simple brick wall that's painted exactly like what's at the equipment shed now, and there's a photograph that I submitted right there. That's the equipment shed. The red outline is generally the layout of the shed part of it. And then at this end of the equipment enclosure, those two doors open up to go into the where the chiller is. And again, that's an open roof structure. The roof on the dumpster, of course, will be open, but the shed will have a flat roof on it, so you do not see any kind of roof, at an elevation. So all that's painted brick. The gates to the dumpster enclosure are actually facing and on the non-historic property, but they'll be steel post with metal slats or wood slats for the gates, similar to what the existing gate is to the equipment enclosure. So if we want to hit these one at a time, would you like me to take any questions on this, or would you rather me go through each item?
Let's go through the whole,
Yeah.
the whole picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second item on the list is install the painted brick walls along the perimeter. This is Elmwood. Elmwood is on the right-hand side. Of course, Rivermont. This is the elevation showing the sign inset along Rivermont Avenue. And Cabell's intent is to use similar designs throughout the Rivermont area, the upper Rivermont area. We've all seen these walls along Rivermont. And the simple wall that's shown right there with just a simple cap would be the one that's back at the rear of the building, around the patio. And if you need to know where that is, it's the one that has a kind of a radiused wall that's at the southwest corner. Keep coming to the left. Yeah, there you go. There's just a little garden wall around there, a seating wall, next to the building there. The other walls, shown in heavy black along there, are the walls that have different heights. The front wall along Rivermont is, he says it's going to be, varies for 30 inches to 46 inches, depending on, the scalloped transition at the pilasters. The wall that runs along Elmwood is going to be 24 to 34 inches high, so that's subordinate to the Rivermont wall. So basically 3 types of walls, 2 styles. One very simple with a soldier course along the top for the coping of it. The other one will have more of a decorative scalloped pilaster design along Rivermont and Elmwood, just in different heights. All of these will be painted the same color as the building, which was approved. All right. Would you like me to go to the next item?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next item is install 2 patio areas with a bike rack. That's one, yep, there you go. Both of those have just concrete finish on them. We've got concrete sidewalks everywhere else throughout the site and along the public sidewalks along Elmwood, and of course Rivermont are all concrete. So concrete for those. Let's see. Next item is concrete sidewalks and ADA ramp and the reconfiguration of the existing parking. This parking is shown right there. All right, thanks. And of course, the playground is already completed. And so it's just really changing up the parking area in that area that abuts the playground. Everything south of there that's on the church proper site that's non-historical is the same. The ADA ramp, there's a small ADA ramp, which I believe when the final grading is completed, it may not even be classified as a ramp, but just a sloped sidewalk. But regardless, it's just a short elevation change that's shown at the south end of the youth house, adjacent to the patio.
Where is that on the drawing?
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep. The other one is really more of a sloped sidewalk that's at the front of the building. And that sidewalk's there now. We're just making it to where it has a curb cut and ADA compliant to come into the front of the building. The rest of the sidewalks are just concrete sidewalks as they are existing elsewhere on the site. Have I left anything out?
I
Did I
don't
cover?
think so. Okay, shall we take this item by item?
Yes.
And look first at the dumpster enclosure and the tool shed, only part of which is in the Rivermont Historic District. There are comments,
And
About-
those are extensions of the existing
you know,
and heavily off historic. I don't have a problem with those
They
as
have-
shown.
have
Yeah.
somewhere. So would you like to
I'd
make
make a motion to approve those as submitted.
I'll second it.
the item number 1? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty.
Shannon, can I ask, can we skip number 2 for now and go back to, go to 3 and 4?
Skip 2.
Skip 2 for now
Okay,
and do 3 and 4.
Okay. Item 3 then is to install 2 patio areas and a bike rack. Any comments about the patios or the bike rack?
There's a concrete, bike rack
Concrete
is right near a
patios.
playground that's already there. I think it's fine.
Make a motion, accept it as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 4, install additional concrete sidewalks, ADA ramps, and reconfigure existing parking with a new layout.
It's pretty acceptable, straightforward.
Any discussion? Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept number 4 as submitted.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll come back to item number 2. Install a painted brick wall along the perimeter of the property on Rivermont and Elmwood. Comments?
It certainly radically changes the historic nature of what's already there. There's not a brick wall there. There are brick walls there that were there that predated the establishment of the historic district. This would change things significantly if this was accepted and installed. It might be pretty, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss, this is an historic district that was established in certain ways. This is gonna radically change.
I guess,
What you see on the
if it's
streets.
okay if I speak to that?
Yes.
I guess what we were talking about was creating borders because it is a youth house. And we've got Rivermont in the front, and as Elmwood gets more and more busy, as we know, we're just trying to keep borders to it. So we felt like a wall like this was a little bit less intrusive than putting a fence.
Well, I agree
Aesthetically.
with Jerry that it changes the whole project. And I don't think that's what I saw coming down the pike, to be honest with you.
Would you please, could you pull up, I'd like to see the location of these walls. So it's along Elmwood, is that correct?
Yes,
And towards the rear, I mean the front,
So that's, the top part, that's Rivermont, correct?
facing
Right.
Rivermont.
So it's along Rivermont and then down Elmwood.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with my colleagues as far as changing the appearance, but personally, I don't have a problem with it. But, you know, I have to agree, I think it's, personally, I think aesthetically, I think it not only will it serve a purpose, like you mentioned, and aesthetically, I think it'd be fine, but does it fit within the historical designation of, you know, of the guidelines? That's, well, I think what everybody's primary concern is here.
Well, the context is Rivermont Avenue.
The context is the historical designation of it, you know, and the, now granted, like you brought up that there's other similar, you know, brick walls on Rivermont, particularly, you know, across the street at Randolph School. So, and that would be very similar to it. However, being that there's been no wall there, you know, I think that's where the issue is. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And the painted wall, there aren't
Yeah.
any painted walls.
Yeah, well,
on
that,
Riverline.
yeah,
I'm less
we
anxious.
had approved the painting. of
I'm
the-
less anxious about the wall, I'm more anxious about the painting. And Mark and I have had conversations outside of here, you know, I was out of town the meeting that painting the brick, the church, the bank building was approved, and I would have voted no on that. I know that the discussion then that the building was non-contributing in the historic district. But that was only because of when the historic district was created, that building wasn't 50 years old. If the historic district was amended today, that building would absolutely be contributing. It's done by a local architect, it's emblematic of the style of the day. And I know that cow is out of the barn. So that can be painted, that approval has happened. But for me, the painted brick wall is a step in that same direction. I would probably, in that you're making a campus, I probably could go with the wall, but I would not vote for it as a painted wall. So I'm a little,
You're kind of in the
I'm
middle.
throwing a wrench in it, but, you know, for me, it's the paint, back to that original issue. So I was very firmly non-paint back then, and I'm still non-paint now. I would not die on the hill of the wall itself.
I would be non-paint, but I'm opposed to the wall, so.
Yeah, minimally,
you-
at the paint issue, it no longer really matches the Rivermont wall. And I would go further as far as, you know, certain paints being appropriate for the material. A whitewash, if you were to go that route, would be more appropriate.
We're not doing whitewash.
Okay.
I mean, not whitewash from the standpoint that it would be a bleed through with the brick.
Like the brick bleeding through?
Yeah, not a whitewash that would wear off quickly. There's paints that are made in Germany that are, been used for hundreds of years. I can't remember the name of it, but.
Talking about a silicate paint, maybe?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a good alternative. And it would be new brick, and it's harder. Soft brick doesn't like silicate paints.
yeah, and we're not dealing with soft brick.
Yeah.
This is
But
hard
in the
fired.
same manner, I agree that unpainted would be, but, well, I'm looking at the language for walls in the guidelines, and it's C, and it says of stone, brick, or concrete, it's in this document, or concrete may be added in front of a property if historically appropriate and consistent with the character of the district. So I guess the question there is, if historically appropriate, and what does that language mean
Yeah.
for us?
Well, I know you want a uniformity of the color, which is why you wanted to paint the bank, and ultimately I voted for that because part of why we don't paint brick is because older brick doesn't like paint and then it becomes a problem. And so there was a sense that, okay, that's old but not older, right? Well, it's older but not old, right? It's from the 70s, not from the 1840s or something. If you wanted to be consistent with the other brick walls, then unpainted would mean it would fit into what's already there, whether you're talking about the apartments you're talking about Randolph College, leaving it unpainted. But I know that's sort of the branding of St. John's, right? They all wanted that sort of yellowish white color. If a private owner came forward and said they wanted to do this in one of the houses down the road, given the language, is it appropriate to have a brick wall? I'm also looking at Eve. Is it appropriate to have a brick fence put in front of a house? You live and breathe this more than we do.
I would argue yes.
I mean, it's a non-contributing structure, according to the nomination form. Now, whether or not that's changed, given it's older than 50 years, could be debated.
Which one?
It's not changed from a actual standpoint, the district has not been
It's the
amended.
bank
Right.
building part of the
It's
So
non-
it is as it sits, a non-contributing
But
building.
that's the one that's in the historic district, though.
It is in the
Okay.
historic district. yeah.
But it is not listed as contributing.
The building is not.
Because when the district was created, that building was not 50 years old. So it could not be considered contributing.
Okay, and then the church is outside the
The
historic.
church is
That's right.
outside.
Okay,
You know, in my statement earlier was, if the district is amended today, the building is 50 years old and would certainly be considered contributing. But again, the district has not been amended, so it is not at the moment. And I think stone walls have been, new stone walls have been approved along Rivermont, if I'm remembering one house.
And fencing.
And fences certainly
Fencing.
have. So,
Oh, yeah.
so your question is, is a wall, in that vocabulary, yes, a wall is viable to be new. And then you take the next step in terms of its materiality and its finish.
Right.
Those are sequential decisions, but, I mean, again, for me, wall is okay. Brick wall is okay. I'm gonna die on the paint hill.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I'm willing to accept a brick wall, but I agree that it does not have to, it should not be painted. And it would match more the streetscape, because that's part of it too. It's not just whatever building in front of. The references are indeed plain brick walls that have existed over a century that have not been painted. And I think we've been very cooperative with St. John's and their requests with everything. If this is the one time we don't say yes, you've done pretty well for yourselves.
I'm glad we approved your, the painting of that building last time around. I think that was appropriate.
It's a brick wall. I mean,
Would
right
you
over
want to
there.
go back and have a conversation and bring this back, Mark?
No, I think that if we're talking about rejecting it, just because it's painted, I think probably aesthetically, we can make an unpainted brick wall work better than we could with the next option, which would be some type of picket fence, which I don't
Yeah,
want
that
that.
one.
But I mean, that's where we're gonna put some, there needs to be some border out there
Yeah,
because
picket,
you've
yeah, I mean, the
got
brick wall from
too
an
many families and kids
from
running
an
around.
institutional standpoint, the brick wall is
Yeah.
most appropriate. I agree with you wholeheartedly that a picket fence or something like that, any kind of wood would not be appropriate for an institution like the church and
How
and
about
like
an
that
iron
facility is.
fence?
Iron could maybe,
We got a lot of that on the avenue.
I think it's,
I
I
think
think
what
it's still a little
Cabell,
more residential in character, from an institution, just like, Randolph College.
Right.
An institution kind of goes more towards, here's our campus edge. And again, I would be fine with that.
you know, when Cabell and I talked, we were trying to match something up that was with the avenue, plenty of brick walls along there, and, you know, not to beat it up, but there's some painted brick walls further up on the west end of Vermont. But regardless, we didn't want to have something in your face. It felt like it was very institutional with, you know, we've got picket fence around the playground now because you got to. We need something.
Sure.
We just didn't want to extend that
That's
same
big
thing.
that's a big tall.
6 feet.
Yeah.
We didn't want to, now, we wouldn't do a 6-foot fence around the perimeter, of course, but it would probably be a 3-foot or, 4-foot fence.
If you go back to that streetscape where you see the post
And
office
certainly
there.
that fence at the playground is absolutely appropriate, from little kids playing and
Yeah, it looks great.
two steps there in the street.
Yeah, that playground has been so successful. That's been such a great asset for them with their day school and then with the community also using it. So
Glad to
they're
hear
really trying to draw the neighborhood into that corner.
Not the aerial, but just the streetscape. if you stop there, stop moving them so quickly. Brick wall there, you can see the brick wall at Randolph, and brick wall there, and makes it, so, it was always, it was always there, if you keep it unpainted. It'll just feel like it's just part of the streetscape, I think, so.
I think that if we had to, make a decision right now, it would be better to have a unpainted brick wall than have no brick wall and have to go to a institutional, more, steel picket fence of some sort. And if they decide not to, then we'll come, if they say, no, we want a painted fence, and that's what the landscape architect want, and that's what we're gonna do, then I guess we'll go to the next level. But I think that they'll be satisfied, just speaking for them, and I think as an architect, the brick would, unpainted, would be okay in that application, because it is low to the ground. It's connected a little bit more to the street, where it's not as much tied back into the church proper. Of course, the church proper is all brick painted. And
Any
that's been there
question-
since the 30s.
So any question about the signage?
I mean, really, the sign in its size is more zoning than us.
Right, that's right.
You know, that has to meet size
Yeah.
via city regulations through Kevin Henry, through the zoning group. So we really can't yank his chain on anything, I don't think, there, Peter.
We're trying to get rid of the post-mounted sign that's there now. That's just has a sign cover over top of
Yeah, it's a
it.
former bank sign that just put a slip
Yeah.
cover over.
But it's not their intent to keep that sign.
Right. You don't do a flashing electronic one like a lot of companies have? Please don't do that.
We're having a hard enough time with a brick wall.
There you go.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept it as designed brick wall with the design, but no paint, without paint.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mark, you've got your
Thank you.
marching papers.
All righty.
Thank you.
That gives me 3.5 checks on my floor.
Well, as somebody said,
That's Hall
St.
of Fame.
John's has done very well, so,
3.5 checks, I mean, you're batting 800.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus the painted BB&T building, so no, you're all doing great, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. I mean, it's getting there. I
Yeah.
can see it happening, so glad that they got it and not somebody else. That's all
Right.
I can say. Okay.
All right, thank you
Good.
very much.
Thank y'all.
So, shall we come back to new business item A? Is Mr. Grossvalet here? I apologize, I don't know how to say your name, so,
No, ma'am, it's Oliver Gohane.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll be representing
Okay.
Brandon today.
All right. So Oliver, you're here to talk about porch brackets and paint.
Yes, ma'am.
And shall we deal with the porch brackets first? On the back porch, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You see the screen door that's back there? That's the one that's there.
Yes, sir.
And the brackets are kind of
They're kind of
referencing that?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's back porch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
it looks fine to me.
It's a back
Hey.
porch element, not really
Yeah.
visible from the street.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it as been submitted.
Second?
Second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving right along, the paint.
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody got a new picture in today's email of the paint, I think.
Yes. You see the image? That's really good, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of time on that, I think. He actually gave me the original.
Oh, wow, there you go.
Okay.
Can you go to the existing pictures of the existing building, Eve, so we can see them? Yeah. I mean, the big thing there to me is that it is, when I first looked at the picture, the sketch, I was like, wait a minute, you've got a different color on the body of the house on the first floor and the second floor. But
Yeah.
it is different materials.
Yeah.
It is clapboard on the first floor and shingles on the
Yeah.
upper.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it is appropriate for them to be two different colors
Yeah.
there.
And then on the sides, I think on the second level, it's a cedar shake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
switch-
see all that purple up there is the little small shapes.
Mhm. Yeah, it switches right there, the pink, on the pink side, that's all shake there as well.
Yeah.
Huh,
And you would
okay.
take that same color on, it wouldn't be two different colors there in this new application, it would be the same burnt, whatever the upper color is.
It's a green at the top.
Yeah,
The body of the lower level would be the red,
yeah.
and then the green would be the second level.
And I'd also point out that here, you're seeing the sashes of the windows a darker color than the trim, which is appropriate
Yeah.
as well, if you go again back to the original picture.
Yeah, that would be a black color, just to add some depth.
Yeah, exactly.
That would
That's-
be a,
The existing house has that same format
Yeah.
there, that you
Yeah.
see that the sashes are darker and highlighted, again, appropriate.
and this is actually a house on Washington that we're kind of mimicking the colors of. I
Oh.
think it's 501 Washington.
Maybe the owners are sitting behind you.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, guys, I'll tell you what. Yeah, so we were actually mimicking after that, so. What's your address?
It's 505.
505.
And those colors are the original colors to the house.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a great looking
How's
house,
that?
no doubt.
Great looking.
So,
Yeah.
Is the front door a different color?
It's wood, I believe.
Yeah, the front door on this one
Natural
is
wood?
wood, yes, sir.
Okay. Ah, yes.
oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I have no problem with the
okay,
format.
you want to make a motion?
I'd move to approve as submitted.
I'll
All
second.
right.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And-
All right.
And he also might have another design, in, he was kind of open to any suggestions. So he had another color reference. If we had that, could we just give that to you all as well? Would we
Yeah,
need to-
submit it to Eve,
Yeah.
and if it's not radically different, she
Yeah,
can
it's-
approve it
it's called-
administratively.
It's all based on the Ben Moore
Yeah.
historical colors.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but, you know, I just wanted maybe a little bit of freedom to maybe try corbel a different, not
Yeah.
color, but you know what I mean? To
Yeah.
kind of get the base colors done and then have the ability to maybe add a color in.
If an accent color is certainly appropriate for that level of house.
Yeah, yeah. They can do up to 18, I guess, Victorians?
I mean, you can, as we always like to say, turn up the volume.
Yeah, yeah, whatever you want.
Those houses can be
Yeah.
very fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And there was something in the proposal about the foundation, you haven't decided
Yeah.
on the color
Yeah,
yet?
the foundation we haven't decided on, and I recommended just, hey, let's go ahead and get the base colors on, and then we could also go back at that point.
Green right now.
Yeah, it's green.
But that's something you can approve,
Yeah.
so you don't
And
have to
maybe
come
even
back to
it just
us.
becomes more brick color,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
emulate the original
We,
brick.
we had talked about maybe trying to, it's a soft brick, so it's, we can't go at it with a pressure washer and try to
No,
get it and
no.
scraping it. It's just, I talked to Brandon, I was like, it kind of is what it is. You know, it's already been painted, and it's not been painted once, it's been painted about 36 times, I think.
Probably.
You know, so we've got an oil base coat on there, which is holding up pretty well. But, you know, I said, we'll see what we could do, but there's always going to be some paint on the brick.
And from the street, it's not overwhelming. It's
Yeah,
a-
you
it's a
don't
very
really
thi-
see the
Yeah,
foundation
it's
at
very
all.
thin line.
Yeah,
And if you do strip, steam has been successful.
yeah,
A few historic sites have used steam, but yeah,
Isn't
soft
worth
brick
it,
doesn't like
right.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't like pressure wash. Well, high PSI it doesn't. Hot water really not either, so.
Great.
Okay.
Good deal. Well,
Thank you.
so much, guys.
Okay. All righty, the first item of our old business is the request of Oscar Rodriguez to replace doors at 617 Washington Street. So, Mr. Rodriguez, welcome, and if
Thank
you
you.
would tell us the nature of your request and why.
You know what's the problem with the door? The ceiling is too low. It's 78 inches. But if I move it to the other, close to the other door, I have a fade because the ceiling is higher than the other one.
I'm going to have to ask you for me to speak a little louder. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That doesn't help you if you can just, can you hear, or it may be me.
Okay,
So-
the problem with that door is the ceiling.
Mhm.
If I put the door with the original was, it's gonna be too low. From the floor to the ceiling, only have 78 inches. Plus the head is gonna be like 72. It is almost impossible to put the door there. But if I move close to the other door, close to that one, it's gonna be good because the ceiling there is higher than the other one.
So,
So help us, the door that we're seeing on the upper left,
That one is good, but we have another door from the addition.
okay. And is the new door, Eve, on the top middle picture where the arrow is pointing and the lower left
Yes,
picture?
that one with the arrow is too low. Only have 78 inches from the floor to the ceiling.
So you want to get rid of that door?
I would like to move in the spot in this front in the corner here,
Okay, so the lower left picture, Eve,
right there.
a new door there.
Yes, two doors, should be two doors, one there and the other one where the arrow is, with the red color. Yes, there is one door.
Okay,
It's the same door, okay.
and get a new door in the middle picture?
Yes, with the green point. You see the, yeah, right there. If I put the door there, it's gonna be good because we have a space,
Ah.
the ceiling is high. So we're gonna have two doors there.
And that is at the rear of the house?
Yeah.
On the rear of the house, on
Yeah.
the rear of that porch?
Yeah.
Okay. So not visible from the street?
It's not visible, yeah.
Okay. So from that standpoint, it would seem fine. That, you know, we've certainly approved doors on rear locations to give better functional access to the house. And would the door match the upper left door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
and that's an original door.
Yeah, I sent the picture, but I don't know which one.
I think last time we talked about the one, go back to the picture, the upper left
Yeah.
seems to be appropriate for that house and
That
that
one?
age.
Yeah.
If you
That was
could
the
match-
original,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you could match that door, we'd be fine with it.
But it's good if I put in the back?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's my question.
yeah.
because-
And if from the, being on the back, you want more privacy, that glass could be solid panels, but the same size panels,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to. Could still be glass on the rear if that works for you there.
Yeah,
But if you needed, you know, if that was a location that needed more privacy, there could be 4 panels, but instead of glass, could be wood. But the big thing is the same dimensions as that door.
yeah, the dimension is good there, but with the glasses, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't, what he's saying is you don't have to have glass in the back door.
Okay.
As long as it has 4 panels, like
Yeah,
the door that
yeah,
you're seeing right
okay.
there.
4 wood
it could be
panels,
solid.
instead
Could
of,
be
you
solid
don't have to
All
have
right.
glass, you can have
Okay,
wood.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
So
easy.
not, you can go back to the middle one, Eve, not that,
yeah,
Yeah.
not that.
not that.
No,
Yeah.
the original one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
four-
the original
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
right.
Like the original one, but it could be all wood.
Yes,
That'd be great.
yes.
4-panel solid
panel,
wood door, yeah.
Okay, that's the question.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So, replace 3 doors at the side and rear. So, I'm
Oh.
confused about the door not fitting. So is that door pictured, the one that,
Right there is one door, that one is good. But the other one up front and the addition, the ceiling in that part is too low. If I put the door, it's gonna be like 72 inches.
so has there been work done in that addition and they dropped the ceiling in front of that door then?
No, and this part in the back is high, the ceiling. But on the front, where the door is too low. Right there.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So what do you,
So-
what do you
So
propose?
we're getting rid of that door
Yeah,
completely.
to remove it, yes,
Is
to
this in a-
relocate in the back,
Yeah.
close to the other one.
Would this be a situation where we would leave this door in place and he just walls up behind it? Is that what we're looking at?
Now, that's, rather do I see this, right, this is the front facade now, we're talking about the
Yeah.
front facade now. So you would, possibly you're saying is, this should be left there, restored as the door, even if it's not used as a door, and it could be walled behind. You see-
Right.
see what we're
Yes,
saying?
yes.
So just leave that as, not like this, but when you fix it up,
I would like to put door there, but it's too low.
Yeah. yeah,
The
that-
people, when they
that-
get
that
in, they're
works.
gonna hit the head.
Yeah, if you email me, it's on Austin Eagle on the website, I'd love to come over and look at it just to better understand it. Because I'm having a hard time picturing it, but, yeah.
But the other two new doors are around the back.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that all
two
sounds
door.
good.
Yeah, in that location. There and then
Right
there.
That one.
Yeah.
So that would replace the windows.
Yeah, replace the window and get the door fixed.
And then this is on the other side, this is
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah,
But
right
is-
there is the other door.
You have a picture of that?
you just, a picture of the back of the house?
Down
It's
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
So that would be, that's, are we looking at,
So this is the screen door, are you talking about replacing the screen door or the door on the
door.
inside?
Door inside.
Okay, so that's not visible.
We look at,
it's not visible?
we see the streetscape again, the side streetscape that you just pulled up just a second ago. Okay, so would you be able to see these, that's assuming all the stuff is cut back. Would you be able to see these new doors? It would be tough, wouldn't it? I'm thinking about this because,
Probably won't be able to see the one on the left side.
okay,
You could possibly see the porch, but not the interior door. So you could see the screen
You
door.
see the screen, but not the door behind it.
the screen's gonna stay, the screen door's gonna stay there?
No, yeah, no,
Okay.
it's not there.
Okay,
Yeah, even with the once the vegetation is gone, it'll be visible though, correct?
No, nothing is visible because it's got a lot of trees there.
No, what I'm asking is, it appears, I could be wrong, it appears that the vegetation is obstructing the view of where the door will be. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or- It is? Okay.
it's still the back, I'm okay with it. Please take the vegetation down.
Side street.
Please take that vegetation down.
Yeah, still, if you have a screen door,
Yeah, there it is.
okay. So-
Okay, so it's there, okay, so it really is invisible. Now I get it,
Side
thank you. Thank you.
Side street.
It's a side street, but when we talked about Pearl Street,
Yeah.
we did talk about the back door of Pearl Street,
Yeah.
the famous 713 Pearl, that back door you can see from the side street,
Yeah.
and so that was, so you really can see that door. And it isn't a historic district, this is still part of the historic district, but with the screen door still there, and with the recommendation to mimic the front, I think, right,
Yeah.
should still be good.
Make a motion then. That's good.
Let's make a motion that we accept what we just said. That we accept the back, okay, the front door, door on the front that we saw will need to stay in place, even if it's covered up as no longer used as a door, right? So the one that's on that wing, right? Evie, you want to pull that up again?
Which is that top middle. right?
Yeah. So that has to stay there. It has to be fixed up, but the one that's right by the
Behind
truck,
that truck. Yeah,
right there. That has to stay there, but does not have to be used as a door anymore.
Okay.
But the door has to stay there. Is that what we're saying?
Right.
This is part of the front facade. So that's part of the motion, and then the other doors in the back can be replaced with modern doors that mimic the same look as the front door, though they do not have to have glass panels in them. Does that all make sense to you? All right.
I'd second that.
Okay. Any discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, if you have any questions, you can speak with Eve or with your neighborhood representative.
Hey,
All right, thank you, Mr.
All right, thank you.
Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Okay, our last item of old business is the request of Frankie Lee Scoggins to replace windows at 713 Pearl Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Chris Herrick. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Scoggins. And hear about the famous 713 Pearl Street. After our last meeting, I reached out to Anderson to get an idea of what the Fibrix material is and whether it would be appropriate in a setting like this. Based on what I really wanted to bring a sample with me today. Unfortunately, that plan fell through. It wasn't supposed to be my job to obtain the sample. But there are a lot of, I think, compelling reasons why the Fibrix material would be better than aluminum cladding, at the very least. I'm not saying it's superior to wood. Wood would be ideal. But when it comes to maintaining the thin lines and the appearance of wood without the metallic sheen of aluminum cladding, I think that the Fibrix material would be superior for the reasons Ms. Dwayne gave, as well as, you know, some independent research on my part as well.
Okay,
A string of emails.
who wants to jump in?
Well, it seems like, yeah, I think Eve has, yeah, that's up, has reached out across the state to a number of localities. And it seems like every one of them, the only time they are approving this material is in new construction or a non-historical window.
Yeah.
And we don't have either of those in this situation.
And this is a very visible
Oh, it's a corner lot.
house.
And the aluminum clad, I know you have jumped on the aluminum clad multiple times. Aluminum clad historic windows have been approved for decades and decades in historic districts. They are absolutely appropriate. And what we're seeing here is the Fibrix, however you want to pronounce it, across the Commonwealth in districts from large to small to Leesburg, super tight. We're seeing them not being installed in this type of application.
It has a different look, a
Completely.
totally different
So
look.
I won't support it.
Yeah.
Williamsburg?
I don't think they respond.
Yes, Williamsburg says yes in new construction.
And that was an old, communication about composite windows, so that was really more for Windsor windows, which is a different type of composite than this would be, so. But even then, they only approve it for new construction and additions, so.
And a key aspect of aluminum clad windows is, by its nature, it's still a wood window. It just has aluminum clad on the front of it. If I'm understanding that right, is that?
It's a baked-on color
Yeah.
on the aluminum.
I mean, wood windows, they're 100-year windows. These other windows, you can't repair them. And so, at the end of the day, these buildings are holistic, and so changing bits and pieces, and I certainly agree, it's not hard to beat vinyl. And so I would agree that it does beat vinyl in so many ways, but, as I understand it, the key aspect is that it's still a wood window at its core. And, like the heat transfer of the aluminum, well, I don't know how much that really matters since you still have a wood window behind it, as opposed to having, you know, it seemed like the comparisons were comparing strictly aluminum to the Fibrex as opposed to aluminum with the wood window. So in those ways, I'm an advocate for wood windows, and I think, so why weren't wood windows made the choice?
This project goes back a long, long time.
Right.
Very controversial. The original windows were taken out and gone. New windows were put in that were postage stamps in the
Yeah,
big
the size
historic window
changed.
openings, filled in around with vinyl. I mean, it was just a completely inappropriate. And the historic windows,
Well, there it is.
the aluminum clad historic windows were approved to replace this, to go back to original. That was done without an HOA, without an application, and they got a stop work order. It wound its way all the way through council.
Yeah, if you go back to the original, that's what the house, you see the windows there, that was what was there. And then you saw the photo, Austin, where you saw the black metal flashing, because the windows that were bought off the shelf weren't as big as the openings there. And those, by the time anyone was alerted to this, these windows were already gone.
So
It's gone.
why do we move from wood windows to aluminum clad, or is
Well,
that?
the aluminum clad is an approved historic
Yeah.
district retrofit. And
And-
because there was nothing there, we couldn't say ye shall go backwards
Gotcha.
and recreate something that's no longer exists.
Okay.
So they were at that point in time, because of negligence, replacing. So the aluminum clad was an approved.
So say the windows were just rotted and needed to be totally replaced, that would then, we would push for the wood.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So we always hope the wood can stay, be repaired.
Oh, absolutely, because
Yeah.
typically it's 100-year material that all it needs to be is scrubbed, cleaned, and painted.
But we did previously approve aluminum clad windows.
Right.
For this house, and then got a new,
And it subsequently has been sold.
Yeah,
And-
yes, to my
and correct me if
client.
I'm wrong, so the previous owner is having to do the repairs under the sale agreement. So this gentleman is representing the previous owner
No,
Oh, the new
he's
owner.
representing the new owner.
The new owner.
and the previous owner?
No,
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 Oh,
no.
he's
okay.
here
No,
on
Mr.
behalf of Len.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But the previous owner was here because he's gonna be the one doing the work.
He has
so
to,
he's-
and he has to pay for it.
I don't know the details of,
Yeah, that's
of
not,
the
that's not
arrangement.
up to us.
But he, I think, is doing some of the material research and proposing these windows on behalf of Len,
Okay.
so.
So I'm hearing agreement about not approving this application. And do I hear a motion?
That would be my motion, that the Fibrex is not approved to replace the replacement windows of aluminum clad wood.
Okay,
I'll second.
second, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, do we have to reapprove aluminum clad, or
No,
is
they've-
that just out there?
Well, that's been approved previously.
Yeah, I believe the only issue, well, one of the issues was how long it would take to get the aluminum clad, and that the Fibrex was much more,
So
It's
if it's
much
an
quicker to get.
issue, Eve, can you make an extension of the year?
Yeah, it would still fall within the 2 years, if the order was placed. We would consider that active work towards the COA completion.
sure. I believe that, that Mr. Scoggins had planned to do all the work in June, which is right around the corner. From what I understand.
I know there was
Yeah.
some confusion at the last meeting. Mr. Malacy noted that what they had applied for was not a clad window. So I recommend that before placing any orders, a quote or an estimate showing the exact window be sent to me, and then I can confirm with the commissioners that that's appropriate. That way, something that's wrong is not ordered, and we're not back here again.
Understood, yeah.
Was this the window, was this an Anderson window that was presented the last time, the 100 level series windows?
The Fibrex, yes.
Fibrex.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
yeah, that's really, that's a low end of Anderson. I don't know if they're aware of that, but, am I right here?
The lowest.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's the
That's
lowest
the
ever.
lowest, I think, of the,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
Yeah, my client just inherited this issue, so.
Sure.
Well,
Thank you for
it'll be a
coming.
great house
really
when it's
appreciate you
done,
coming.
when it's
We're
done
looking forward to
properly.
its new life.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Tom Cullen.
All right, do we have any additional business to come before us?
I did have a couple of things that I wanted to discuss. I got an application for new construction at 317 Hancock, which is right off of the D Street Bridge. I didn't feel like the application was complete enough to send to the meeting at this point. But the applicant has asked that we get some preliminary comments, so I'm gonna send that out in an email. If you have any comments, please share those with me so I can share it with them. And then that's actually gonna be for 2 new single-family houses, not just one. They're gonna be subdividing the lot. But yeah, I will send that out in an email, probably today. But one recommendation is that as we see more new construction, I didn't know if the commission was interested in creating a committee to review new construction applications a little bit more in depth than, say, just at the regular meeting. But that's something that I would recommend
Yeah, I
as staff,
think
because we
that's a
are
good
definitely
idea.
seeing more applications for new construction.
Yeah.
Eve, is this on the left side where the bridge is? That-
I can show you.
Yeah, that'd be great if you can do that.
There's a wall there, right? A old
Did you say it
stone
was
wall.
713? Is that?
317. So
317.
it's this one right here. And it's gonna be divided into 3 lots.
Oh, I see, okay.
So the houses
Can
will
you
go.
zoom out
Yeah.
to get better?
Mhm. The houses will go here and here.
Because we have approved,
Over
and
here.
zoning has worked up there in that L,
Mhm.
but nothing has ever happened there.
No, and I believe those, have expired at this point.
Oh, right, okay.
Would this property, the 317 property, how, because the bridge is still high there, how would you access?
So it'd be here, here, and the bridge is over there.
Okay.
So would all 3 lots face this way
They would front on Hancock.
Yeah.
on Hancock? Okay.
And the other proposal
So
was.
they'd be long and narrow?
We have a,
The other one that we approved that expired, so it could be over here.
Yeah, up there.
yeah, it was up there. Uh-huh.
Got it.
Yeah, that is that's only, I think it's only about a 50-foot deep lot from front to back or so, but anyways, it's,
So it'll be like that. That's currently what's under, review for the technical review committee.
So the first lot is, the L's all the way down.
But that won't be a house.
Oh, they'll only build on the 2 smaller?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So 50-foot wide.
So when would you like to form a committee? Now?
We can do that, yeah, yeah, now.
yeah,
At the next meeting or so, if the commission thought that had any merit, we could discuss it now or next meeting, however you like to do it.
When do you think this will be?
Well, they wanted it to go to this meeting. I hope to send them comments by the end of the week, so they might apply for the next round or submit more finalized plans.
Well, then I think we should create a committee now.
Now, there is language in the guidelines about new construction, right?
There
Yes,
is,
there
uh-huh.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, are you saying we need to review that language and flesh it out more?
Not necessarily, just the guidelines are pretty specific when it comes to measurements of things and materials and,
it may be appropriate, seems like we have success when we reach out to other historic districts that are a little older and more savvy than ourselves, that maybe you could reach out to your counterparts in other localities and ask to see their,
I mean, we have pretty
Yeah,
extensive
we're good with
new
that.
construction guidelines. It's just
Yeah,
so what are you looking for this committee to do?
to review them in more detail and make a recommendation to the commission as a whole.
are there any volunteers? Peter, I think you should volunteer.
I just have a
Nice of you, Madam Chair.
How's that for being subtle?
Just a question. The whoever makes application will obviously have to hire an engineer, architectural firm that recognizes this as a historical application, historical district application, make the appropriate recommendations for it. And then, so why do you think we need a construction committee if that's done in the drawings and, then we just look at the drawings to see, maybe have to approve or
I
some
mean, we
items.
don't necessarily need one, I just think it would be good to take a look at these as we're getting more and more applications. We're all learning what to look for and how to apply the guidelines to new construction, because I don't think we've had much, prior to the one we approved, I don't think we've had much new construction in the district. So it is a learning curve, and it is something that we should be examining probably in more depth than, say, paint colors or something like that. So I just think if we had a separate time or scheduled to take a look at these, we could be more specific in what we're asking for or what we're looking for from applicants. And they do have an architectural, it's Casey Service submitted the drawings. And so, he has applied the guidelines to some degree, but I think there are some things that we could look at more closely, which is why I would recommend.
Would this be a committee that you would serve on as well?
Well, I would still
Yeah.
serve as secretary, but
But not as someone, I mean.
no, I wouldn't have a vote or anything like that.
But would it kind of not be good to have all of us?
So
I
the
think we
committee would
need
take a
that
look
many.
at it and then make a recommendation to the whole commission, who would still review the application and the materials.
Yeah. I think a committee of 3.
If you appoint a committee of 3, it has to be a public meeting.
It would be a public
Yeah,
meeting,
That's
yes.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and it had to be advertised and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna make that happen before the next meeting to beat that application.
Well, I don't know that it does, I'm just saying as we continue to get more and more, it's something we should consider doing. Yeah.
I think that would help prevent surprises. We had some surprises on not Garland Hill, College Hill. And if you're really focused ahead of time, it would have
Is there anything,
prevented.
is there any language anywhere that that specifically implies that being in a historical district, it has to have the specific guidelines, built accordingly? In other words, the design has to be accordingly, so that it would minimize our time, approving
Yeah.
items. So rather, and I'm just saying that maybe in lieu of having a committee specifically assigned from the HPC to do that. Is there anything out there now that,
Well, we certainly,
Well,
I think we certainly can find historic communities, particularly in the neo-traditional vocabulary that's
Right.
out there. And I'm thinking there's a community called Seaside in Florida, and they have very, very strict guidelines, but the houses have a historic flair, but are very modern. And given particular architect, they can push the we can take that, and I can crank the dickens out of that and make it absolutely modern. and still meet the guidelines. So, and me as an architect, I would rather see new construction in a historic district. I mean, if we go to the National Park Service, if you were having to go into a historic district that had review by Commonwealth of Virginia and the National Park Service at the federal level, their guidelines very clearly say, we need it to be understood that this building was built in 2025 and not 1890. So they want to see different, massing, so that you don't get an 8-story thing sitting in on a low district. So the massing, the floor to floor, widths, setbacks, spacing between buildings is very strictly reviewed from the DHR and NDS standards. But they very much would rather see a glass house than a clone of a Tudor or a whatever. So that when you walk down the street, here's 1890, 1890, 1890, 2025, you can tell the difference. So from a new construction standpoint, I think you're stepping on eggshells when we start using the guidelines, because certainly interpretation of those can be wide ranging.
To some degree, but again, there's specific measurements, there's specifics that need to be followed.
Yeah, I think,
per
again,
the
those are going
guidelines.
to massing and placement and setbacks and those things, but, I mean, give me a run at those and tell me to bust somebody's chops, and it can happen. So if somebody walks in with a very, a square box, they
Then
can-
it would not meet our guidelines, it wouldn't come close to meeting the guidelines. So,
Anyway,
Given the
just-
right person sitting at the microphone,
How about this? You spend an hour next time on 317 Hancock and not get anything else, you are right, and we should have formed a committee. If we can do this, because all the work's been done appropriately by the owner, by the designer, by the architect, then maybe not. I mean, we don't know.
Right.
And by the way, I would love for someone to build a house there, or two. I think a lot, I mean, what it was a hole. Someone had done us backfill in there. I'm still waiting for someone to build something there, so. I'm not hearing a lot of people excited about another
Yeah.
committee.
well,
Yeah, I'm really very hesitant to add another layer of bureaucracy, so, and I'm just thinking if we can maybe just come up with a way to actually avoid having a committee specifically assigned to this, so that the architects know that this has to be compliant in this regard. These are the standards, and, and anything outside of that will be rejected, and outright, and just make it firm, and I don't think, I'm not totally familiar with our existing guidelines. I've obviously looked at them. I think there's definitely room for improvement. I mean, considering the new construction historical sites that that Eve was mentioning that, it's anticipated. So I think it's definitely a very real subject of concern. And, considering all the investments that are being made in the city and historic district, people are just very interested in building new. And so, if we can possibly come together and consider how we can possibly avoid a committee, and see if it's feasible or not,
well, I think one start, read these 4 pages. I mean, it's on page 91 of the guidelines, new buildings, and it goes through shape, scale, roof shape and pitch, orientation, location, proportion, porches, foundation height, materials and color. So, and it even talks about secondary buildings, garages and things. So, it is fairly detailed what's here. But again,
Maybe we can add more to it.
rules can be fun.
Anyway, I'll send that out for comments, later today.
Okay.
And then I'll include the guidelines as well. So
Thank you.
we can pick up on the committee if we need to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
very clear.
Having dealt with 2 new constructions, I'm saying you need a committee, but I'm getting ready to leave you all, so I won't have to deal with it, but
Yeah,
it is
let's go through these
very
first.
time-consuming and very important that you listen to the neighbors and what they're saying. They've got huge investments in their properties, and
But
and you don't want a square house. So, anything else?
So the only other thing I would mention is that next meeting is gonna be Shanda's last meeting. So if you know anybody interested in serving, please ask them to apply. And council should be reviewing appointments hopefully in June. And
So
we're gonna
maybe
miss
they'll have
Shanda.
somebody for July.
Huh?
Maybe they'll have somebody to
We'll see.
walk on in
And what about
July.
voting in a new chair and vice
Yeah,
chair?
we'll have to do our annual business, in July.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Anything else from? Oh, okay, I declare us adjourned, and thank you.